I don't think you do know where he went. You can head
No
up to
idea.
where his room is and the place you're staying.
There is a chance you can hear gunshots, but I
Ooh.
did go out a bit. You can probably still hear it, though. It just depends where you're at if you're listening.
Okay.
Make a perception check.
Okay.
And Crash, what are you up to here? You're just gonna hang out? Anything else you got
No,
going
I'm
on?
gonna keep wandering around healing people, and when I run out of lay on hands, I'm going to just go about the process of doing it manually if I can.
Okay. Yeah, with some help from Lunaire and a couple of her assistants, they're basically, they keep checking, periodically, maybe every 15, 20 minutes to make sure you're okay to keep going because they don't want to put you out just as a volunteer. But if you're volunteering help, they put you to work.
Cool.
Reapplying bandages and checking on some of the patients that are in better shape and just a whirlwind of activity. There's plenty to do.
I'm going to keep checking up on the one wackadoo guy that's running around or restless in bed with a weird illness.
You spend the better part of a couple hours working on this, and Lunaire on a couple of different occasions, just expresses her gratitude for doing so. As you kind of keep checking in on him periodically through that span, still feverish, still sweating, sleeping, not tossing and turning again. Seems to be in better shape, but the core of whatever's wrong with him doesn't seem to have been addressed.
Okay.
I rolled a 13 perception.
Okay. It's faint, but you do hear just this occasional kind of booming sound that you're not entirely sure is gunfire, but you've heard enough of Isaac's work at this point to have a hunch it could be, especially having checked his room and not finding him there.
Okay. I will head in the direction of the sound then.
Okay. Basically, I'm trying to straddle the line of how loud is it in the town versus would people go out and check.
Yes.
So I think that's a high enough result that it doesn't put anybody off too much. So you head in the direction, the sound of the booming noise. It's gunshots. And head north of the city inside the forest, where they're definitely getting louder as you
Okay.
approach.
Oh, God. How am I going to get his attention? I guess in between the shooting, I'll just call out to Isaac and try to, play it off at first and be like, oh, I found you.
I want to see if I can sense you approaching.
You can make a perception check. Because you're going to go further north.
Because I'm going to be so cool. 13 perception.
It's a tie. You do hear, at the very least, the very quiet rustling of footsteps as she kind of approaches the exterior of the tree line, maybe, I don't know, a couple hundred feet away from where you've touched yourself in the forest. They're soft, quiet footfalls. She's pretty good about being quiet overall. But you do hear someone approaching.
Lena, what brings you out to the forest? And I throw a can and shoot it. And it's amazing. And you are awestruck.
Okay, I'm impressed. I don't know jack about guns, so that looks just super cool. So after my initial being impressed, what am I gonna say? I'll just say, well, I couldn't find you in your room, so I walked around town and eventually found you out here. I wanted to talk to you about something that I came across in town.
What's on your mind?
Well, and then I'll just kind of explain that we went to a healing ward, and there was this guy who seemed feverish, and he's not waking up and tossing and turning, and that he was in Timberbrook 4 days ago, and now is here, but they can't wake him up, and it just seems like a really weird thing. And so after I explain all that, I say, is there anything, are you familiar with anything like that from your home? Is that common there? Is that an illness? Is that caused by something?
I'm gonna I'm taking aim this whole time.
Mm-hmm.
And then I sigh and holster my gun, and I'm assuming no, Chris. That
Make
all right, I'll make it.
make a history check with advantage.
Oh. Oh my. 12.
As you think back on your time at home, you already know this deep down. There's these parts of your past that are still kind of hazy, but everything you know about Timberbrook tells you that now the people there are generally well off. They seem happy. They seem like the whole town is pretty profitable overall. It's a mecca of business, especially logging and mining. So for the most part, as far as you know, the people of Timberbrook have been pretty content overall, and you certainly don't know anything like an illness or some kind of weird disease that might be caused there.
Oh, excellent. Mysterious disease. My brother. We have that whole business with Grail's parents. So much great stuff waiting for us in Timberbrook. No, I don't know of any diseases that have plagued the citizens. This is new to me. But it's yet another sign that Timberbrook is our next stop.
Yes, I'm sorry. And I don't know if that's what that is. I just thought it was suspicious that someone from Timberbrook is now here, can't wake up, and we're going to be going there tomorrow morning. It just has me a little concerned. If I know we have to go there, I know it's going to be difficult for you.
Oh, it's fine. I have to face my family at one point or another. Might as well get it out of the way.
Well, hopefully we don't do that. We might never leave if that happens.
Yeah, Kana is about as formidable as he is mean. He's always had a mean streak. Once looked up to him. It was foolish. He is talented. He's good at what he does. And he's always used that to conduct himself in any manner he thought was necessary to get the job done. Doesn't have compassion. So, that's what we're going up against, if he is indeed there.
Yes. You said once you showed me a picture of a girl in a locket. Your sister, I assume. You have a nice sister, right? And
Oh,
she's
I have a
still
nice
there?
sister and I have a terrible sister. Which would you like to
Oh.
hear about?
Well, preferably the nice one. I'm assuming she's the one you showed me in the locket.
Well, the terrible one stole all the smarts, the real smarts, out of the family. So I guess you could say my younger sister stole all the kindness. She is the best of us, and it's not close.
Is she still there?
As far as I know, I did everything I could to protect her and keep her living the life she was meant to live. I don't know, though. I have always felt like trying to contact her would just put her in more danger, so I try to follow the news, and when I hear nothing, I take that as a good sign.
Well, hopefully we don't put her at risk going there tomorrow. I hadn't considered that before.
It's a chance, but I just, at this point, with my father seemingly already knowing our every step, I feel like if he wanted to do something to Cora, he would have. But the truth is, he's not a good man, but he's always valued family. At least to some extent. I'm sure that's why I'm still breathing. So he is ruthless and selfish and maniacal and greedy. But family has always been important to him. Maybe that's just because he thinks we're going to... we are his legacy, and he's going to pass down his horrible plans and schemes onto us. But for whatever the reason, he treats us differently than he treats others.
And just kind of stand and think about what you've told me a little bit. And then after a moment, I'll say, well, I'm sorry to interrupt your target practice.
No. You're not going to get away with it that easily. You're going to come out here and interrupt. You're going to learn something. And I hand you the gun.
I am just, like, shocked by this. I'm like, I don't know.
No. So I like put it in your hand, and I like put your. Okay, so this finger goes
What
here.
have you been shooting with the gun?
Well, I've been throwing cans. We're gonna do something different for her.
Oh God.
You're gonna shoot him.
I was just waiting for you to hand a gun to a druid and then have like a bullseye painted up on a tree or something like that. Yeah, that'll go well. Do that.
Yeah, well, that's kind of what. So get your hand on it. Don't put your finger on the trigger. Put it next to it. And
Okay.
Kind of get a feel for the weight, and I walk away and I put a can just kind of on a trunk of a tree.
Okay.
I say, all right. So now you're gonna stand. You're gonna aim down the sights. The gun shoots itself as long as you just use the sights to guide it. It's really easy. The reason you've never seen me miss a shot practically in our time together is these are very good guns. When you're ready, you're going to you don't want to yank the trigger. You just want to squeeze it.
Squeeze it. Okay.
And brace your shoulder. There is a kickback.
Okay. And I like nod. I'm absorbing all of this. And then I like stand for a moment and like brace myself, and then I'm gonna do it. So what do I need to roll for that?
Make a dexterity check because you're not proficient, but you do get to add your dex.
Okay.
So this is not a raw roll, and it's not like it's disadvantage.
Okay.
I could argue that guns might be because they're such a foreign thing, but they're also easy, so they're not. So we're just gonna say a dex roll.
9, I think.
9, you think? Yeah, that's like a 9. Because the save doesn't affect anything, so that's fine. Perhaps surprised by the recoil, your first shot is not very close to the can.
Yikes!
That's fine.
You do know these are rare stock. These bullets, right? Sometimes I make them myself.
They're rare.
Yeah. Why don't you just try again? You're accustomed to the recoil. I have faith in you. You're going to get this one.
Okay. I will.
Rolls a 1, misfire, breaks the gun.
No luck.
Oh God.
And
6.
that's how Lena lost her hand.
Even worse.
God.
Now you find yourself
Even
overcompensating for the recoil because you expect some blowback on it, and this shot
Oh.
strikes the base of the trunk. Can kind of wobbles briefly.
I say I don't think I have a knack for this. There's a reason I never took archery at home. Not a thing at all.
Try one more time. This will be it. I think there's one more of the test bullets left in the chamber.
Okay.
I like that she's still doing it.
Peer pressure.
16.
With his encouragement, you kind of line this one up real careful-like, and you fight the temptation to close your eyes before you pull the trigger. You're getting used to the noise at that close range now. And you line up the shot, you fire, and you watch as this can all of a sudden goes... It's knocked off the trunk.
Chris, I want to try to I'm going to draw my off gun, and I'm going to try to hit the can after it's been shot off the thing.
All right. Go ahead and make an attack roll.
Showing some newbie how to fire a gun for the first time and cannot help but show off while he does it.
Oh,
No,
yeah.
of course, that's just what he does.
We've met before, right?
I'm
This
assuming
is-
you're also
this-
doing a somersault and a backflip over the course of this. A
Oh my
natural
God.
20. Yeah, I guess you are doing a somersault and a backflip. Fucking natural 20. So
Fucking it like ricochets off the tree back into it. You hit it fucking twice.
So, Lena, you watch as you take aim, you fire. It strikes the can. It flips through the air. And as you're turning to your right to look at Isaac with like a smile on your face, you see him roll forward, pull from his hip, immediately fire, and he shoots the can 3 more times in midair, juggles it successively before the can finally rests to the ground several dozen feet away from where it started.
Yeah, you got the hang of it.
And I just kind of put the gun down. Like, was that really necessary?
I mean, you got to see where you're headed. You've got the first shot,
Suppose.
and in a few weeks, I think you'll be ready for a little more.
Perhaps. It's actually quite exhilarating, shooting a gun. I never thought I would do that.
Yeah, they're pretty good. I mean, you have to respect their power and so on and so forth, but yeah, it makes it fun to fight with, I will say.
I nod. I'm actually like super interested now, so I'm going to start asking you questions about the guns and like all the different parts you get and like I don't know, anything else that you didn't tell me before. I'm like super into it now.
Okay, cool. So I'll take it back and I'll holster both. Looking cool while I do it. And then, yeah, we can head back.
Sounds good. Yay.
Okay. Karash, at the end of those couple of hours of working throughout the place, anything else you'd like to do or heading back?
No, I have no intention of leaving. I'm going to ask if there's a place where I can rest for the night, and if somebody can wake me up at first light.
Lunaire seems a little bit, I don't want to say confused, that's too harsh, but, a little like, at that question. But she says, well, there's a couple of rooms on the side with beds that are not currently occupied. Can do that if you'd like.
Thank you. I'm going to go use them then.
Okay.
Not explaining anything. I'm very helpful.
Sure. That's fine. Hey, it keeps it short, right?
Yep.
Anything else anybody would like to do in the evening? I know Tessie and Grill are already sort of spoken for, but just making sure. Anything else?
Tessian's just sort of sitting in bed, leaning back, kind of just looking at his arms and just, contemplating. That's it.
So as you guys start to head to bed/sleep, Grail, I need you to make a wisdom saving throw.
Of course. Why would it be anything else?
Don't be silly. What could happen?
Just to mess with her charisma saving throw. Wait, what?
What?
I got me a big old 5.
Big old 5.
Oh.
Mhm.
You are...
Listen, I had a long day.
Yeah, you did. And you are dead to the world. Like, you are out. The second your head hits the pillow, essentially, you are just like, gone. In
I'm happy for it.
deep, dreamless sleep that is almost a welcome respite at this point.
Yeah.
So the good news is you get like a full night of sleep. The bad news is you wake up the next morning almost groggy because you've like you slept too hard. You slept too close to the sun. But you're fine overall. It's flavor. Tessian, as you're laying in bed, the day's events kind of running through your head as you try to make sense of them, piecing it together with the knowledge of magic that you have, which is not limited in the grand scheme of things, but is in relation to this. There's just a moment as you kind of stare at your hand as you hold it up to the ceiling where it seems like you shake briefly. It stops and you kind of recoil a bit. You stare at it. And as you look at your hand for the next couple minutes just to see if it happens again, it doesn't.
Well, he just pockets that. Just gonna file it away.
I'm just going to ruminate on that a little. Morning comes. Everyone back to full HP. Spell slots, half hit dice, etc. Not that we exhaust most of those most of the time, but, the usual checklist. And because everybody kind of went to bed at a reasonable time / early, everybody's up pretty much, if not crack of dawn, right after. Kind of up to everybody what they'd like to do. But Karash, of course, you awaken at the hospital, as it were. Having slept decently, kind of an unfamiliar place, but then again, what hasn't been the last couple weeks as you travel around. So it's really, if anything, kind of slightly better sleep than you normally get. But awaken in the room that they had set aside for you. Everybody else awakens in their room at the inn, Moratorio. What would you like to do with your morning?
I want to check on my patient.
Okay.
Mm.
Had a feeling. As you go over and check this guy, first, the woman in the other bed is still there, but the legs are no longer raised with pulleys. They're still in casts, but seems to be improving. And
Amateur work. I could have done better there, Lena.
damn.
Harsh.
Patient in the other bed is back to squirming. Still fevered. Still sweating.
I cast Detect Poison and Disease.
Okay. Let me pull that up real quick. La-da-dee.
That's why I had to sleep, because I didn't have that prepared.
Well, it's been a day, right?
Yeah.
Well, what the hell? Let's do this again. Make an Arcana check.
Son of a mother.
I know it's not playing to your strengths here, but I'm giving you a chance at finding out something you shouldn't be able to.
Yay!
So let's see what happens.
Okay. Big money, big money. That's with, never mind. That's with advantage. That's with advantage.
I'll just take the first roll, whatever it was.
16.
Damn. So that's a nat 18, right?
Yeah. That bad.
Armed with your new approach, you take a moment again to check this guy out, and first of all, you can tell pretty quickly that whatever you had done last night was indeed temporary. It was helpful. It was useful. It was like it was soothing, but whatever it was is clearly worn off since then. You kind of like hover with your hand over the body, just trying to see if there's anything in particular, any affected portion that might be the cause of this. There are no poisons. There are no diseases. There isn't any notable cause that should be making him feel like this as you scan over the body. You know, lay on hands from your work with it in the past can rid a patient like this of some bad afflictions. You know that sometimes curing people can help with that too. But even with those two in your back pocket from last night and this now, there's really nothing there. The only thing that you sense as you really take the time to inspect this patient closely, because this is a really good roll, there is whatever is plaguing him, not literal plague, seems to be it's mental in nature. There's something wrong with his head. It's not a disease. It's not an illness. It's not a sickness. It's not like he's caught something somewhere. But whatever has him in this state, you're getting this sense of something as you kind of hold your hand over his head.
Huh. Well,
I know it's not a lot to go off of, but again, this is not the correct approach, so I'm throwing you a bone.
You're throwing Karash a very useful bone.
The obvious answer is just to take the head off. That's the problem.
That's the modus operandi for him, yeah.
No, excuse me. Limbs, not heads.
That's true. The heads of like evil, foul creatures, not humans, and their ilk.
Oh, god damn it. All right. Well, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to exhaust my no. I'm going to call Lenore over if she's around. Is she still around?
She is not, seemingly sweeping the room.
Crap.
Running rounds but they are able to, if you'd like to, one of the receptionists says that they can go get her.
Oh god. How badly do I want this? Yeah, because Dr. Karash needs a second opinion.
I need a consult.
Yeah.
Surgical consult. Get Dr. Turk. Okay. So, receptionist runs off, presumably to Lunaire's residence. Brings her over. She looks a little bit disheveled, like she had a late night and maybe hasn't quite been awake yet, but is also kind of used to this stuff, given the line of her work. So sort of rubbing the sleep out of her eyes, she says, "Oh, Karash, you're up early.
This man has something wrong with his head.
She kind of looks puzzled for a second, looks over at him, sees he's back to the way he was last night, essentially. She says, huh. I suppose that could make some sense. If there's nothing else physically affecting him, maybe it's inside his head. Are you sure?
I'm very sure, but I do not know how to fix that.
This is where I've got to delve into her spell sheet here.
I have one other.
Silence. Bestow curse. I'll give
These
him
are
something
helpful.
wrong. She could try that. Let me see what her best choice is here. She's already tried Greater Restoration. That's not it.
Oh, she's tried Greater Restoration?
Yes.
Well, Lesser Restoration can take a hike then.
Damn. I can't tell you, I'm sorry for the viewers. I know this is boring, but I can't walk you through my thought process because that's too telling. So
Yeah.
I'm seeing if any of her spells can actually affect this. And I can't even tell you which ones don't because that's telling.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
apologies. I'm almost done. I have one more to check.
I have.
She's going to make an Arcana check.
Yay.
A natural 1.
Oh,
no!
Hell yeah. Time to take off the head.
Oh,
I know how to fix it. Stab.
She reaches down and puts her hand basically covering his forehead and like the top of his head. And seems to be trying to cast a spell, but for whatever reason it's not taking. She kind of sighs afterwards. Like she almost lingers with her hand on his head for a moment longer because she's expecting something to work and it doesn't. And she says, I think you're right. I think you're on the right track. That there's something wrong inside of him. That his head has been somehow harmed or is harming him, but I can't make sense of it.
I cast Detect Magic.
Okay, I'll pull that up real quick.
It's lupus. It's always
It's
lupus.
It's never not lupus. I will say
Oh my god.
you're not going to probably love this, but
Arcana check.
no. Because this has a direct cause and effect here that has a response.
Yay.
God, I have to even backtrack to see what this is to know if I can give you the correct school. Stupid school.
Just got school.
There is a faint aura around his head. Let me see if I can backtrack this school real quick. I need to look up something. I wrote this down. Not thinking this could possibly come up yet. So, you know, I'm scrambling a little bit.
It's mass suggestion.
No,
It's probably enchantment or illusion.
you wish.
Damn.
Yeah.
Evocation. What?
Did I not write down what those were? God.
On fire.
Abjuration. Somebody cast shield and it went horribly, horribly wrong.
Oh, something that affects the mind is probably enchantment or illusion.
Is this it? This is it. It is enchantment, but it's extremely faint. Essentially, what I'm telling you with this is whatever effect it was is not currently active. You can sense like the remnants of something, and you know that it's an enchantment of some kind, but it's not something currently afflicting him. Whatever it was is something that seemingly had been and is no longer.
He's got magical PTSD. Good God.
Kind of.
It, he had some sort of enchantment cast on him at some point, but that is all I can tell.
She's kind of like rubbing the side of her face, still sort of waking up, kind of deep in thought. She says, well, I can have some others look at him today, and we can try a few different things, but I don't know. This is weird.
Is there a way to try to dispel magic from him?
She can try.
And it probably won't work because I already know that it's not there anymore.
Yeah, but it's still information. She does have dispel magic. So let's see. Choose one creature within range. Any spell of 3rd level or lower on the target ends. Then otherwise, it's an ability check. She can also ramp it up a bit, but she's not going to.
Spell slot level 10.
Yeah. She reaches out to his forehead again. And you see this resplendent kind of white light, but soft, not bright, but just gentle white light kind of engulf his head momentarily. The effect does seem to fade. And his tossing and turning stops. And his fever seemingly subsides. Even as she's putting her hand on his forehead, she can feel the temperature drop a bit. He's still kind of sweaty overall from the last few hours. Does not appear to be awake yet.
That seems to have worked.
She looks over her shoulder at you. She says, yes, it did. Perhaps it's because we knew exactly where to try it.
But what happened that this man became ill?
She kind of shakes her head. She said, well, let's see. Let's give her a medicine check. Ooh. +4. She says, it's hard to tell. I could tell I was removing some kind of effect, but it wasn't an active one. Yesterday, with your friends, I could sort of sense this curse that had afflicted the body that was being removed. Here, it was like I was removing the after effects. Like it wasn't currently making him feel bad, but there was still something lingering inside of him that was trapping him and throwing him off and then preventing his body from getting back to the way it was supposed to be.
This is strange. Have you had any other patients like this?
She shakes her head. She says, no, certainly not recently. A lot of the times we don't have magical effects to deal with here at all. For the most part, people get hurt in everyday life. They, working, doing tasks, accidents. We occasionally see someone with a magical affliction, but it's rare.
He appears to be healthy now. If this does not come back, at least we know how to get rid of it again.
She nods. She says, well, yes, we haven't been able to break the fever since he came here. So I think this is a good sign. Maybe he just needs some rest to get back to normal. We'll definitely keep an eye on him, and I do appreciate the help. That approach was different than what we had been trying so far, but it seems to have worked.
When in doubt, trust in Cord.
She gives you kind of a knowing nod that isn't really knowing, but she's like, mm-hmm. Yeah.
Special.
Cord, I know him for being a disease solver.
Yep. He cured it by chopping it off.
Yep. Bolt of lightning shocked the disease out of his system.
Oh, Karash is going to defibrillate somebody.
I had considered the possibility, yes.
Because he would have some idea that how that would work. No. All right, yeah, I'm gonna lose interest shortly thereafter and wander away to go eat breakfast and meet everybody else to leave because I still want to get to Timberbrook super quick. And I'm going to leave rather abruptly. Like, I'll just be like, nod my head and then turn and walk out.
Okay. And as you do, you hear a voice kind of trailing you that says, thanks again, Karat. And it gets quiet because you're going off pretty quickly, but Lunar tries to thank you again.
Yep.
Everybody else, you rise and shine, and if you head downstairs to the communal area where breakfast is being served, whoever is among you sees Karash walk in maybe 15 minutes or so after, maybe 20, after you guys head down to start eating.
I'll
What
ask
is there
him.
to eat?
I'm sorry, I died. I'll ask him how it went at the healing ward and if they found anything out with the guy.
Yes, he is cured.
D-
What's his food?
You
What's
wait,
his food?
you cured him? How? Crash, that's incredible.
Let's,
What was ailing him?
Some sort of enchantment. I did not cure him. Lenore cured him.
Oh. Well, yes, but that's still great news and information that we have.
Yes. What is there to eat?
Oh, right over here, and I'll guide you to
Lots of fruit, biscuits and gravy, some kind of oatmeal or some other sort of mash.
I love all of it. All the vegetarian stuff.
Cinnamon
Big fan.
rolls,
Ooh.
mashed
I've not eaten
potatoes.
since
Just
sometime in the middle of the day yesterday, so I'm just gonna start consuming all the things.
Yeah. Is there anybody who doesn't come downstairs just to
Mix it up.
shortcut this?
I think Tessian takes like an extra few minutes because he's just sort of washing his own hands. He's just kind of trying to make sure, like, okay, I'm still here for now. That's good.
Mm.
And then,
No sign of anything this morning.
okay. And then, yeah, he goes down. That's that's it.
Yeah, I'm well rested, so down I go.
I'm eating with Grail.
Okay. So basically, Lena, Grail, Isaac first down. Tessian joins you a couple minutes later. Karash after that. And here we are.
So, Timberbrook?
Yes, as soon as we're all ready. That's my plan.
My question is, Karash, is this disease that afflicted the person you were working on, are we in danger of contracting that ourselves in Timberbrook?
I have no idea. It is magical, but that is all I know.
Oh, a magical disease. Oh, good.
Yes, that was my concern too. I know staying low or laying low is already kind of a given, but we may want to exercise even more caution with where we're going if something like that came from Timberbrook or was triggered there.
Maybe this will just be easy. We've had quite the run of it lately. You know, our life's not a storybook. It's possible we just get in and get out.
Everybody look, is Chris shaking his head no?
As a player, I
Off
don't
your
remember
face.
why we're going to go to Timberbrook. It's been a
There's
while.
about 50 different reasons.
Oh,
right
yeah.
now.
I don't remember.
Isaac's dad and sisters, and there's possibly 2 Dragonborn in town, and
There was
Ted-
a couple people who, I need a refresher, but they were responsible for sending out the muscle to the farm.
Oh, that's
yeah.
right. Okay.
We know there's at least one hideout there somewhere.
Yeah. So
Tessian does say, though, talk of this disease. He's like, well, if it was an enchantment, it was likely put on him by someone or something. So we should be careful. I don't think it was a disease so much as an attack or an attempt to hide something.